Welcome, Joshua.
Thanks so much, Jennifer. How are you?
Good.
Good. Good to see you.
Great having you in our Zoom this morning.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation. And of course, I'm loving the red too.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending the meeting.
Mike, I think you've got 248 going in your laptop.
He's just going for that stadium effect.
Okay, I hope that's better, Dale. I'm not sure exactly what happened. It just turned on by itself. I have not moved in like 15 minutes. It's on the other end of the table. Okay, let's try that again. So good morning, everyone. Let's get the meeting called to order on March 10th at 10 a.m. And Julia Johnson has graciously agreed to fill in for Tanya. She wasn't able to make today, so Julia, if you could get us going with the roll call.
Good morning. Jordan Basham.
Present.
David Brinkley.
Present.
Brian Campbell.
Present.
Rachel Cato.
Rachel contacted me a few minutes ago. She had something to come up.
Okay. Jordan Cole.
Here.
Emily England.
Present.
Anthony Gilbert.
Present.
Monica Hines.
Monica's not able to be with us this morning.
Okay. Steve Lancaster.
Present.
Mike Loftus.
Present.
Lauren Acello.
Present.
Jared Smith.
Present.
Rhonda Sullivan. She's out. Doug Tate.
Present.
Robert Unseld.
Present.
Jennifer Wilson.
Present.
Okay, let's get started with our reports, and I'll start with the chair report. I had a meeting with President Caboni, and he informed me that the I guess HR is working on a policy for guidance on death notifications on campus for current WKU employees. Just that way people can know exactly how notifications need to be sent out, what the procedures need to be, and so forth. And that's being currently worked on. And I believe it's going to go to the president cabinet if it already hasn't, but I haven't not received any kind of update on that yet, but I'm sure we'll have an update on next meeting. And I appreciate the administration's willingness to work on that, because far too often, a lot of times we don't know when somebody part of the WKU family passes away for a while. So I think this would it's a needed policy, and I appreciate the administration for wanting to work on that for us. And I also want to mention to President Caboni that we had issues being able to use our budget to buy frames because it's from E&G funds. And he asked me to contact Susan, and she got in contact with Rebecca Russell and Christy Miller Christy Smith was very cooperative in trying to and working trying to give us approval to be able to use our funds to buy frames for items such as the Staff Star Awards that we're going to start giving out. And they've been working with Emily, and thank you, Emily, for the work you've done trying to get that set up for us so we can use the funds that we have to purchase frames. Just other and maybe some other items in the future for staff. The staff engagement survey is closed, and the psych science grad students are currently working to compile that report. And once that report is compiled, we can share that. We'll be sharing that with administration, and it'll be put on our website for staff to take a look at. And we collected 362 responses during that survey, and we have a list of names that we're going to put into a drawing for prizes. And so hopefully that'll happen here soon. And several of the staff senate members and some few staff employees outside of staff senate collected some money, and we printed Tanya printed some photo books for Chris Ware. A lot of those pictures from the PowerPoint that she did. She compiled it into a book and had quotes from all the quotes that we collected about Chris from the survey that we sent out. And I delivered that to his wife, Ashley, a few weeks ago. She's very appreciative of it. And we had enough money to give one for each of his kids, and to Ashley and for his mother. And they're just, and I just can't say how much I thank everyone's support on campus, just for our loss of Chris and just the words that people have expressed to us. All right, so that's all I have from our report. And Monica is not with us today, so we will not have a vice chair report. Emily, do you have a treasurer report?
No report.
Anthony, do you have a report from the Communication Technology Group?
I have a brief report. I'd like to report that the staff regent nomination window is currently open. That window will close Friday, the 12th at 4 p.m. And currently we have one nominee, and then we intend to disclose the full list of candidates sometime next week. That's all I have to report.
All right, thank you, Anthony. Jennifer, do you have a report?
Just a real brief report. Rachel and I have been working on putting together a Staff Star recipient page on the Staff Senate website. And I just want to give a special thank you and shout out to Marcus Dukes. I don't know if Marcus is on this morning, but he did such a beautiful job with our materials for design. So he's been working with us on the certificates, and we've transferred all of his wonderful design to our website. So if you get a chance after the meeting today, go to the Staff Star at the top there's also on the sidebar as well. So we've got two places where we can show off our recipients that we'll be talking about later today.
Yes, the site looks very nice. I appreciate all the work that went into that. Doug, do you have a parliamentarian report?
I do not. Just a reminder, after reports, we'll need to circle back to approval of last month's minutes.
Okay. Yes. Oh, thank you, Doug. I completely skipped over that. Say Tanya is out today, so we don't have a report from the secretary. And I think that's all of our staff senate members. So David, do you have a regent report?
Yeah, I'll give a brief regent report, try not to take too long. We had a full Board of Regents meeting, which followed our committee meeting from the previous month. That's the pattern that we usually go through. We'll have a series of committee meetings in one day. And then about a month later or so, we will have a full quarterly meeting. So there's it runs on a schedule of about 8 meetings a year. Before the quarterly meeting on the 5th, the day before, we also had a new regent orientation. That is something that they like to do that in person, and it had been on hold for a long time. There was even the student regent's been on for 8 months, and he just got his training. Completely understandable. They've been briefed on everything. Everybody had been sworn in, but it was a good way to connect and spend some time with also some of the new appointed regents. So that was a good afternoon. There were presentations from a lot of the president's cabinet and from people like Susan, EVP, and it was good information for the new members. And then that evening, we were given a brief presentation and tour of the new first-year village, some of the areas that are completed on that. And I got to, do kind of a walkthrough with the other regents through that facility. And it's I will say it has tremendous potential. It took me back to dorm life a few years ago, but it has some amenities and some uses that I would have liked to have had certainly when I was a freshman at another university. And I particularly like the way that there's the view and the way that is going to structure when that's good green space in between. I think that's got potential. The board meeting was eventful. There were some concerns. There was a delegation of authority that an ad hoc committee had worked on for a long time. It had gone through different iterations, and it had been submitted to the full board membership in December for question and answer period. There was some level of confusion related to replying all to emails and whether or not that constituted a meeting. There was also some confusion related to the chair and vice chair and the reporting structure. The executive committee took the delegation of authority document that the ad hoc committee had done. And this is really a document that outlines the policies with which the presidential, with which, say, in this case, President Camoni would act without needing board approval, right? So how campus responds without board approval. And just to give you a quick history, this went back a few years where there was an attempt by a few board members to change the bylaws. And the reason that I didn't want to see that happen and that we went to the ad hoc version was because I think you need to really not mess with bylaws. I mean, I've said this about the staff senate and other groups. I don't think you need to mess with bylaws just because we have a different president or just because I think those are more policy related changes. I think bylaws need to be pretty set in stone, especially when it comes to a board, and also because a lot of those are driven by statute. So we had an ad hoc committee that was the staff senate chair, which, by the way, in the time span that this happened, it included both Jennifer Miller and Mike. The faculty senate chair which mainly encompassed Julie Shadowan in that role, the vice chair of the board, and I was the chair of the ad hoc, and then another committee member was Julie Henson. And we came to an agreement as a group on a document. That document got changed. We thought there could be changes to that. I offered a tabling suggestion to revisit that decision on April the 9th. So that would be next month. That amendment suggestion failed. I needed 2/3 majority and it failed 6-5. And I was on the 5 side, so I didn't even get to the majority. So the revised delegation of authority passed the board, and then there were several questions that the faculty regent and the staff regent had related to the contract extension terms for the president, and some concerns, and those were voiced not because of the president, but because of some of the way that the executive committee had worked with that language. So both Shane Spiller, who's the faculty regent, and I had some concerns. Shane voiced his, I voiced mine. I never got a response from the board chair or the board vice chair on my email and my questions. And so going into the meeting, after 3 days of no responses, I, on principle, wasn't going to vote for it. After being able, through some back and forth discussion, to get a few of the concerns answered to the thinking of the board chair, I went ahead because I saw that there was a clear majority in proceeding, and Shane and I both voted in favor of the extension. There are still concerns that I have and that have not been addressed by the chair or the vice chair. And I want to stress this, that this is not a concern that the president needs to answer. These are not questions for President Caboni or anybody in his cabinet or anybody there. This is between me and the vice chair and the chair of the Board of Regents. And the chair will roll off as of the end of June. And let's just imagine a world where I don't get reelected. If I don't get reelected, then you'll have a new staff regent as well, and that will, that may pass on to them. So again, I'm just that was really the fireworks in the board meeting, and we will proceed with the way the votes went and revisit that later. One of the main concerns that I had, and this will be the end of what I talk about, was that I wanted to see if there had been any discussion about an additional cost of living adjustment for staff and faculty. And I did not get that question answered. And that's one of the reasons. Again, this doesn't have anything to do with the president. This has to do with the thinking of the chair and the vice chair and the other members of the executive committee in drafting the contract extension. I wanted to know if that was a factor in their decision-making related to the contract extension. So that's my report. If any of you all have any questions, you can ask me offline. You can ask me anytime. And I'm happy to answer them. Thanks, you all.
Thank you, David. Okay, let's go back to the monthly minutes approval. Has everyone had a chance to review those minutes? Sorry, I didn't get those out earlier to y'all.
I motion to approve.
Okay. All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Okay, minutes has passed. All right, so next item on our agenda, we have Dr. Gadali here with us today, and he's going to talk about the graduate education and the benefits that provides the WKU. So Dr. Gadali, thank you for joining us here today, and I will just turn it over to you.
Wonderful. Can you folks see this PowerPoint? Wonderful. Mr. Mike Loftus, Staff Senate Chair, thank you for the opportunity to visit with all of you. I'm also joined by Dr. Scott Gordon, who works incredibly hard to recruit talented graduate students to our programs. I often say, staff are unsung heroes. As faculty, we talk about the tripartite mission of the university, namely teaching, research, and service. Likewise, we have faculty, staff, and students who are integral to the success of a great institution like WKU. And I'm truly privileged and honored to serve as the leader for the graduate school in the Office of Research. And we have incredibly talented, skilled, again, apologize. Had an unstable connection message the second time today, so I apologize for that. So what I shall in the next 15 minutes or so, just share some high-level information about graduate education. And I'm going to use some talking points from an advocacy group called the Council of Graduate Schools. WKU is a member of CGS. And essentially this document, it's about 11 years old, but its timeliness has not been lost. It says that we as a country, the United States, continues to be a magnet and attraction because of the high quality of our graduate programs. And fundamentally, as a Commonwealth, as a region, as a nation, if we have to remain globally competitive, we need to have a strong graduate program. And I'm committed to the success of graduate education here. The next slide talks about the public good of graduate education and how graduate students serve a town, a region, a country, and contribute to the economic development. And what is happening is that in current world, and to remain globally competitive, a bachelor's degree alone may no longer suffice, and more. I apologize, I have unstable internet connection in my office today. So more jobs will require advanced degrees and credentials. The next slide talks about or provides information from Sean Gallagher from Northeastern University, who has stated that master's degree has become a de facto requirement at several programs such as management, etc. The next slide provides you information about the graduate or professional degrees in the state of Kentucky. So here we notice that about 10% of the population have graduate or professional degrees. And
Dr. Golly, your screen is not shared anymore.
Oh, I apologize. I have to do it again. Thank you. Okay, I'll do it again. How about now? Well, it actually, ironically, I was unable to use my PowerPoint on March 4th, 2020, during my presentation at the Open Forum when I came here. So I'm not immune to the challenges of technology. So I apologize for that glitch. So essentially, this slide talks about why a graduate degree is helpful for individuals to have socioeconomic development. And this slide talks about the information about Kentucky, wherein only about 10% of the population have graduate or professional degrees. The strategic plan talks about a need to strengthen the reputation of the graduate school and support fiscally WKU's graduate school, among many things. The next slide provides you details about what we do as a whole in terms of graduate education administration. And this comes again, language from the Council of Graduate Schools. We have exceptionally talented staff, highly specialized skills, and we help in a variety of ways, the institution, the students, and faculty as well. The 8th slide is information from our graduate catalog. And here it provides information about what we do. We serve as a resources for prospective students, current students, alumni as well, and we serve as a liaison between the graduate students and the faculty members. We provide opportunities for students to study advanced research, conduct research, scholarly activity, and contribute to their academic field. The next slide provides you with information about our org chart. As I said, I'm privileged and honored to serve as the Associate Provost for Research and Graduate Education, and each and every moment of my operations are helped due to amazing staff. Dr. Chelf leads the graduate records area. Dr. Gordon, as I said, leads our recruitment activities and is joining with me as well. In the admissions team, we have Ms. Julie Harris, Ms. Barbara Chaffin, and our budget manager is Ms. Shonda Spencer. She's a graduate student herself, actually. Both Dr. Chelf and Dr. Gordon got their EDD degrees while working full-time in the graduate school, so it is possible. In addition, we have Ms. Lisa Myers helping with graduate records, and Ms. Laura Birchfield doing a number of things and serving her role as office associates. So I have a few more slides that gives you an idea and taste of what we do, high-level details. One of the things we do is graduate enrollment management, and these are some flyers about virtual recruitment fairs. We have expanded this significantly, and to remain competitive, Dr. Scott Gordon has worked very hard, along with Mr. John Mark Francis, Ms. Aurelia Spalding, Alicia Carter, Scott French. So it is again a teamwork of a lot of staff members to help students provide information about graduate education and how they can advance economically. So these are some flyers of past events. In fact, we have an event geared towards staff that I shall talk about later. We're also helping students, and in addition to students, we're also helping faculty. A new initiative from under my leadership is a Grad Learn series that provides evidence-based practices to promote innovation and excellence in graduate education. The one flyer on the right is an event that is going to happen today at 3 p.m. and you're welcome to attend if you want to know about professional science master's programs. 4 international, if not national experts, 3 of whom are past or current presidents of the National Professional Science Masters Association, will be visiting with us virtually this afternoon. So this is a new series to help faculty reimagine their curriculum and provide innovations in graduate education. Here is information about professional development opportunities for our graduate students. We have virtual orientation sessions, we have workshops. We conducted a 3-minute thesis competition and a winner was announced just recently on Monday. We worked with Mr. Tommy Newton, another amazing WKU staff member, to promote our graduate students and their success. Here is a couple of other workshops under the Gradwell series. Graduate mental health and well-being is very dear to my heart. We had 1 workshop last fall. We have a series of 3 workshops. We partner with Counseling Center, and we have a series of workshops meant for the success of our graduate students. This just gives you a sample of our graduate programs. We have a diversity in terms of programs from all the 5 colleges. And this slide just gives you a taste that 2/3 of our graduate student population are part-time. So like I mentioned, Dr. Chelf and Dr. Gordon were full-time WKU staff, and yet were able to complete their EDD program. We are a regional comprehensive master's institution, and so hence 72% of our student population are pursuing master's degrees. This is just a high-level details about the educational benefits. WKU has excellent employee tuition waiver program, and there are applications that are due. These are links, there are policies, etc. And we have one of the virtual recruitment fairs targeting WKU employees. And I kindly asked Dr. Scott Gordon to make a spiel about an upcoming virtual recruitment fair targeting WKU staff.
Thank you, Dr. Kudali. As Dr. Kudali said, we've really tried to ramp up our efforts this semester to recruit students with the changing nature of graduate recruitment, and we can't do anything face-to-face as we normally have done in the past. We've tried to lean into the online and virtual engagement. So with that said, we've tried to expand our portfolio of virtual recruitment opportunities, and it's given us the opportunity to look at some groups that we have always tried to pay attention to, but give actually some extra attention to starting this semester. One of those groups is we're going to have a fair on April 13th that is targeted to staff and faculty that are interested in learning more about the opportunities through the graduate school in terms of graduate education and what that can do. Of course, that ranges from anything from a student taking a non-degree course just for personal enrichment through a certificate program, master's program, specialist or doctorate program. So we'll have more information coming out about that, but I did want to let everyone know that that we do have that available, and we will be working with students, and we are trying to do work in a much different way in terms of student recruitment than we have previously, and staff are definitely a part of that recruitment plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Staff Senate Chair Mike Loftus. It's a privilege and honor to visit with this esteemed group. Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, well, thank you. And I appreciate you having events catered towards staff and getting to be able to answer questions or give them guidance on how they can just better themselves or help them with their just other interests that they might have. So I appreciate that.
I have long said, Mr. Loftus, if I can get a PhD, anyone can. And it's a true statement.
But thank you all for the work that y'all were doing and wanting to come and speak with us today.
Thank you.
All right, so Tony Glisson is here, and he is going to talk about some benefits eligibility policy. The president wanted him to come and speak, just kind of update staff on what's going on with that. So Tony, you want to go ahead and
Yeah, sure. Good morning, Mike and colleagues. Can you all hear okay? Mike, do I have the ability to screen share?
Yes, Tony, you do.
Okay, thank you. In case you don't have this in front of you, these are adjustments to our benefits eligibility policy that we're proposing for really compliance reasons. Since some changes that we made with the Affordable Care Act back a number of years ago, we've continued to kind of live out this policy and some compliance adjustments, especially around this section here that deals with how we define a full-time employee, what we call a variable hourly employee, temporary employees. Sometimes those are short-term in duration and nature, and then seasonal. And again, what you have here in red displayed is the new language. The old language, if you have the physical policy in front of you, displayed at the very bottom. And so this is the current wording, but what we've done is fleshed out in a little bit more detail, given the nuances around the type of appointments and positions and assignments that particularly staff employees have. And that's what is denoted and more descriptive in the red section in the very first part of the policy. We did make some clarifications around full-time. And so we know many times that we tend to call people part-time when they're really full-time. And so sometimes a leader or supervisor may simply mean a short duration of unknown period at the time. And so, but really those are full-time people, and there's an obligation and commitment when those persons are appointed full-time, even with an unexpected or unknown period, so long as they're 30 hours or more. And so we have obligations around benefits eligibility for those persons. And again, the variable hour, we call it the kind of the uncertainty. We don't know exactly what's going to occur, what's going to be lived out. That's displayed there, again, in that section. In our opinion, not so much of this is debatable really, or subject to so much adjustment. We worked with our compliance persons, with our broker and our consultant to develop this clarification. And so this is a result of several weeks, actually several months of work. And again, as we fleshed out things that have occurred, experience and understanding around this. And so probably one of the most interesting parts of this to you, given some of the experience that you're probably familiar with on our campus. So when we have a full-time employee in position that might be converted to a part-time status going forward, and some of you are probably familiar with, there have been some times in the past where we've taken a staff position, a full-time staff position, and made that position, typically as a result of budget pressures and structure and reorganization in a unit. We've converted that position to part-time. Well, if we do that going forward, then that person in that position, although it's part-time going forward, that person will remain benefits eligible for the remaining part of that calendar year in which that occurs. So that's a change, and that might offer some challenges to leaders in thinking about doing this, or at least they need to understand what's occurring with this, because for the remaining part of that calendar year, that unit will still be responsible for the associated benefits cost that relate to that person. And so that's probably one that you all might be more interested in and can relate to probably more directly than the other parts of the policy. That's really it in terms of adjustments. We've changed the heading, obviously, for the new division, and I had proposed a March 1 date. Of course, we're now past that. So it's been a little while getting this kind of work through the mill and the process to have it considered. So really, Mike, those are my comments. Unless there are questions from the group, I'd be happy to answer.
I just wanted to ask how it was going to be communicated out to the masses.
Good question. We can certainly send this out as a policy change, like you all know that we typically do. I don't know that from an employee perspective it's so significant and drastic, but I suppose Susan's on the call too. We're open to your suggestions with that. We'll certainly post our policies page. But, I have no problem with communicating it to the campus and as we've typically done.
I have a quick question. I saw you kind of scrolled over it. There was a section for seasonal employees. What
Yes.
is that? Because that might be something that works for our department.
Okay. And again, we aren't really defining new occurrences. These things have occurred across our campus. People come in and go out. Sometimes you see it during the summer months or during their winter period. Athletics is a good example with things that occur in a cycle and, depending on sports and things. And so again, we've kind of dissected this a bit in more detail. Generally, again, we're talking about something that's recurring, kind of customary by nature of the work, and again, up to 6 months. and the period of employment is typically one that occurs in the same time frame. For example, the summer or winter period.
Okay, I was just curious. I didn't get the opportunity to read through it, so
Yeah.
Thank you.
And again, these are not things that will change your life and world necessarily. They're more to help us around compliance and making sure, especially around what I've talked about a full-time person going to part-time, that is handled and appropriately applied to the person in the position. And again, probably the other one that's more likely to occur is when there's a person that comes in and working full-time hours, meaning 30 hours or more with some uncertain period. Although it's uncertain, if it's full-time initially, then it is benefits eligible.
Jordan, I see a raised hand on your picture. Do you have a question?
I saw we had that feature, so I figured I'd try to use it. Tony, do you know how many staff members would be impacted by these definition clarifications or changes, if any are?
No, I know of none immediately affected in any type of way. No.
Awesome. Thank you.
Tony, could you, I may already have it, but could you send that to the policy to me, and I could distribute that to the staff senate members if they want to review that a little bit further? And
oh, sure. I'm sorry. I thought you'd already done it. I did send it earlier, Mike, but I'd be happy to send it again. But yeah, you absolutely, you all should have had this in advance, but I'll be happy to send it again, Mike.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think I did send it on. I think that slipped past me.
Okay. Sure. And again, I appreciate your review and questions. You know, from our view, we don't think there's a lot of this that's subject to, you know, adjustment change. We've tried to be very careful in working on this over many weeks to get it adjusted and reviewed with our advisors. And so we believe this is the appropriate adjustments that we need to make as we look forward.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions for Tony?
I rest my case. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. So next item on the agenda is Staff Senate Excellent Foundation account. When I met with President Camoni, I expressed an interest in Staff Senate having our own foundation account where we could have fundraisers. We could put money into that account if we chose to. If people wanted to donate for any kind of donations through the Alumni Association to our account, they could do that. Or if, you know, staff members wanted to take some money out, like a set amount out of their paycheck, if they wanted to donate to the Staff Senate Excellent account. That would the funds in a foundation account will give us a lot more flexibility on being able to do things for staff. Because with E&G funds, we are very limited on what we can do with those funds. So a foundation account would allow us more flexibility. And he wanted me to meet with Amanda Tribune, and I met with her and Donald Smith. And they showed me kind of started the process of giving me the information of what we need to do to get an account started. So if we do start an account, what we would need to do is set up our bylaws to make sure that the bylaws would have to include regulations on how this money can be spent, what it's meant for, who can approve it, what amount would have to be. For example, we could say a certain amount could be approved by the finance committee, and then anything over that has to be approved by the entire Senate. I talked with David Brinkley about this, and I asked him like who is typically the admins of those accounts, and he I guess David told me that we could have 2 admins. So what I think we should probably do, if we have 2 admins, we could have the chair and the treasurer. So those would be the appropriate admins for such an account. But of course, we're still in the trying to figure out how to, to get money in this account and so forth. But I wanted to kind of get everybody's opinion on what they thought of having a foundation account set up.
I think it's an exceptional idea, especially if it can be, the funds can be somewhat flexible. If you're in an unrestricted account, you have a little more movement. And of course, if you have checks and balances with the bylaws, I guess that's how it works. I would have thought it would have gone with more of a policy guideline rather than in the bylaws, but I don't know enough about that to know if the bylaws are the appropriate place. But I definitely think it's a positive move in the right direction, so we can have just a pool of funds to pull from for different things that the staff senate are trying to move forward.
Yeah. Thank you, Jennifer. Does anybody have any other questions or comments or concerns about us having a foundation account? One of the things that thinking about we could possibly do is we could help provide some training for people, for staff members on campus, whether it be an Excel class or supervisory class. Things that we could benefit the most amount of staff members at once, I think would be great to do, instead of just paying for one person to take a class. We may hire a trainer to come in and do a class that we could have several people in, and then if you couldn't make that class, it would be a webinar, and people could view that webinar at a later date. And I spoke with Beth Lavez, Dr. Lavez, about partnering with DELO, and she mentioned that they could do some introductory courses for a lot of their courses to kind of let people know, I guess almost like just free charge. It would be an introductory class for people, let them see if they want to take other DELO continuing education courses. So we could develop a partnership with them. I spoke with Tony. We could work with HR to kind of, because HR probably has a good feel for some classes that a lot of the staff members need. So we can kind of partner with them. And, like Peggy Crow is an excellent trainer on campus. And there's a lot of, I spoke with her and she'd be willing to do some courses. And we have a lot of resources on campus that we could use to, a lot of staff members that could help us with that. And we could send out surveys to find out what staff members might need, or what staff members might be able to teach some type of training course, because we have a lot of expertise on campus. And I had a conversation with Jordan and Emily, and Jordan had the idea of just making almost like a conference or professional development week or two that we could just have a series of classes that people could attend during the summer, when it might be which might be a good time for us to have these courses. But so that was another thing that I was wanting to bring up, something that we could do with those funds. But what's everybody think about offering some type of courses to help staff?
Mike, I think it's a good idea. I'd also think it'd be worth exploring the model that they do on the faculty side with the CITL, this Innovation for Innovative Teaching and Learning. Maybe our workforce committee may be a close approximate of what they're doing, but it would be nice to have a group that is looking at these different needs based on kind of the rhythm and flow of the semester. That I know we do a lot with staff leadership, but that's such a small group that we put in there. It'd be be nice to have these enrichment opportunities available on a reoccurring basis. As you know, some folks, the nature of their work kind of bogs them down during the summer, so they wouldn't be able to participate. But if it was also available in a time when it's less busy for them. I know we've mentioned as a group that we feel like there's an opportunity to better train our managers and supervisors as the environment changes around us. And so I think this would be a great opportunity, at least initially, to offer up opportunities for people to volunteer to participate in, to supplement areas where most of the training was on the job training.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with everything that you said, and I've had the same thoughts myself. Because a lot of departments, a lot of people would like to have additional training, just the funds aren't always available in the different departments to provide that for their staff. So if we can somehow be able to provide that in a way that people can easily access it to try to fit their schedules, or they can access it at a later date on their kind of at their own time whenever they do have that opportunity. And I just want to be able to do great things with the money that we are able to get in the foundation account to go back and reinvest back into staff and help staff out.
Mike, if we're all in agreement to move forward with this, how quickly could we have the account put together? There's certain seasons within the philanthropy world where they raise funds, and the sooner we could get this account set up, we might be able to be looped into different events such as Day of Caring and things where there's a mass, encouragement to give to the university. So if people are willing to give to Staff Senate, we could be an option for them.
See, well, I don't think it would take very long. So Doug, are you still? Yeah, Doug, do we? I think we have quorum here. I believe. Can you double check that for me?
Mike, while he is checking that, and back to sort of your classes thing, I've been trying to think of possible initiatives that we could start to help with some of the DEI committee's work. And one thing I've thought about is ESL classes, which I know, it's my understanding, I know ESLI the company technically had shut down that run that on campus, but they're still running some ESL classes. I wonder if that's something that we could also do with some funds like that too, in order to help pay for those.
We'd have to look at, I guess how much the cost would be and how it could be distributed. But because some of the courses are some of the expenses. Some of them, I guess, the best would be if we could get like a course that would get a lot of people to sign up, so we can invest our money wisely to benefit a lot of staff. So, but yeah, anything is kind of on the table, and as Robert was talking about earlier, I kind of feel like a lot of this probably needs to kind of take place with the workforce committee, and we can do surveys on campus to see what those needs are and kind of reevaluate what direction we need to go. Doug, were you able to confirm that we have?
Yeah, with 13 voting members present, if I'm doing my math right, we do meet quorum.
Okay, great. All right. Well, if everybody's in agreement, and we can.
Sorry, I had my hand up here for a little while.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that, Jordan.
You're good. You're good. It's new for me, so I don't know how it shows up for you. I was more going to comment that I agree with the need for structure and how we approach this. I think overall, with the idea of a foundation account, I support it. The idea for a foundation account I support. I think we'll have to work on exactly what types of things we use it for. And I think we have some good starting ground for that. but I'm a fan of the suggestion of having structure and to figure out a needs approach. I will say some of the introductory courses for DELO, the way I understand it, we would offer those introductory courses for courses that weren't covered by the tuition waiver. That's a benefit for staff, right? Those would be continuing education classes that aren't covered by that waiver. So we would probably just need to make sure that we communicated that into a way, if that's a path we take, that's not included in a benefit for staff. I know that several people have been surprised by that. And I think it was actually a discussion item at one of a previous meeting I was in. But I think we just have to be careful there. I think it still would be a great opportunity for people. And those classes are certainly a worthwhile investment.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. We're just going to make sure we structure lists properly. But I guess for the moment, I just wanted to see if we could get a motion to start the process of starting a foundation account. And
Mike, can I make a suggestion?
yes, please.
To fall into true procedure and working through this, I would recommend we create an ad hoc committee to fully draft a proposal for a foundation account and what that would be used for. And so that you would just need to appoint as many people as would want to serve on that ad hoc committee. And they could bring a proposal back to us next month. I think we've talked about a lot of different things today, and I think we have to be very straightforward of what's this account for, and then what can we use it for later on.
Yeah, that's why we have the parliamentarian position now. Thank you, Doug. Okay, so we'll just create an ad hoc committee. And do we have any volunteers that would like to be on this committee that would discuss the creation of a foundation account? And we should probably include the creating the account and what structure of our bylaws need to be included with that.
Yeah. I'm now using the raise hand function to volunteer.
As am I.
I'll volunteer as well, Mike.
I'm going to use the regular hand to volunteer.
Got to be different, don't you, Robert?
So let's say I have myself, Emily, Jordan, Robert, Jared. Am I missing anybody else? Is that everybody? Okay. All right. So does anybody want to volunteer to chair this group?
Can we nominate Emily?
Emily, would you want to take it on?
Sure.
So
I think I was the chair of the last ad hoc committee with Robert, so maybe he'll co-chair it with me.
All right. So Emily,
there we go. We work well together.
We do.
All right. So Emily, if you could just arrange us a meeting so we can get that process.
We do need to, and I'll go ahead and do it. Motion to create this ad hoc committee.
Second.
All right. And then Mike, you would need to call for a vote. Or
all right. So those in favor of creating the ad hoc committee to create the foundation account and explore the bylaw changes that we want to set for this account, for the foundation account.
Mike, I just also wanted to mention, I saw a note here, somebody had mentioned, we keep mentioning bylaw change. I think we want to explore the option of it being a policy versus bylaw. So if Emily, when you all dig into that, if you want to check into that.
I will most definitely check into that and confer with Doug.
Thank you.
But I do believe it will be a policy issue, not a bylaw.
Yeah.
The bylaws may mention the policy, but it'll be a policy. Yeah.
I'm in agreement with that. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Nope. All right. Okay, the motion is passed. The ad hoc committee has been created. Okay, next on our list, our agenda is the Staff Star Award, but let's move that to the end of our agenda unless anyone has any issues with that. Just real quickly, I want to talk about the Staff Senate retreat. We typically have our Staff Senate retreat with the existing Staff Senate and the incoming Staff Senate meet. And I asked President Caboni if that would be okay for us to hopefully meet in person in a large room, maybe like in DSU, if we can get that arranged, so we can meet there that day. And I just wanted to get Staff Senate's opinion on whether, if y'all would like to, hopefully a lot of us will be able to have the opportunity to get their vaccinations by then as well. But I want to see what everyone thought, if they would like to try to work with DSU and get approval to have a like face-to-face Staff Senate retreat, if we can find somewhere where we can physically distance and be safe. So what
Mike, the timing of this is in July, August. When does this normally occur?
It's always during the June meeting. So it'll be the first week of June.
I think it's a good thing to plan and then still reserve the right, especially with new members not having a voice right now, to move it to virtual if that's needed. But as somebody who serves on the COVID events review committee, it would be great to have a plan in place for a potential event.
And if we do it, we're going to have the option of a Zoom meeting as well at the same time, because I don't want to force anyone to or feel like they have to come face to face.
Yeah, I would say mentioning that it's a hybrid event would fast track you on the events review committee. Of course, there's all the other things to comply with, but that's something that we're always happy to see.
Does anybody else have any objections, concerns, support?
I'll say I support exploring that.
Okay. Well, I spoke with, sent David Oliver an email, and he recommended that if we're going to do the issue, to work with David Emerson and his group to develop a plan to submit to be, for that to be approved by the committee. Jordan, I did not know you were on there. So,
no, it's cool.
Yes, I might be hitting you up and figure out the best way that we can set that up safely and make everyone feel comfortable to have that approved for definitely a hybrid event.
Yeah, I'll shoot you an email with the form, and that'll give you kind of an idea, because we have a pretty streamlined process for people.
Okay, that sounds great. And another meeting for, or I guess another item on the agenda for staff meetings I guess in-person meetings when we are able to have those again, is a location. We currently don't have a location that's set up that we can use that will hold everybody, that we can still continue to do our Zoom meetings and broadcast for the staff to watch live from while they're working, or at a later time on the YouTube. And I think it's important that we continue to provide that option for staff to be able to view our meetings. And our last meeting location was that we use face-to-face was the SGA, the Student Government Room in DSU. But there's not a camera in there. And before that, we used to use the Board of Regents room, but I don't think there's enough space for us to everyone to sit around at the table and be in the camera there. So I don't know if that's a great location for us. The president said that we are welcome to use the faculty house for a meeting location. Of course, that also does not have cameras, so we would have to figure out some location and work. And I spoke with President Gaboni. on seeing about getting an option to have cameras in those rooms. So that's something that we need to just kind of just think about. If anyone has any suggestions for a location on campus that we're not thinking about, please let us know. Anthony is very familiar with a lot of the technology in the room as far as like AV equipment and cameras go. So probably refer to him a lot and what we need to do. But at some point, it'd be nice for us to be able to start having our meetings face to face again and still provide the option of the viewing the meetings on Zoom. So that does create an additional challenge because we're going to have somewhere with the cameras and mics that will allow us to do that. Okay, not sure if, okay, looks like Deborah Wilkins is joining our
She
meeting.
just joined, yes.
Okay, she's in. Okay. Oh, looks like she's connecting right now. Deborah, perfect timing. We just we can't tell you.
If I had planned this better,
No.
if I had planned this better, I could have just gone up to the general counsel's office and popped in behind Lauren. That's what I usually do.
Deborah, thank you for joining us today. So over the past few weeks, Staff Senate has received emails regarding Title IX compliance, and so Deborah's here just kind of review the Title IX processes that we have set on campus, and just kind of re-inform everyone on the what happens with Title IX processes on campus. So Deborah, thank you for taking the time to speak with us today.
Oh, no problem. Sorry, I meant to be here a little earlier. Yeah, we've had a renewed interest in Title IX. I regret the circumstances that have brought that about, but I guess interest is good regardless. And I'm not going to give you all a training per se, because all you need to understand is if you have any reason to believe that a violation of Title IX has occurred, which is sexual harassment, sexual assault, domestic violence, relationship violence, stalking, or retaliation as a result of any of those things, you just need to report it to me or Joshua Hayes, Michael Crow. You can report it to any of the deputies, Tony Glisson, Dominic Casello. I mean, there's a number of them on our website. Just get it to us. You can send us an email, text, call, phone, leave voicemail message, however you get it to us, we'll get the information. So from an employee perspective, that's your responsibility. What most people are wanting to know is what happens when we get a report. And I think that's what's most frustrated Michael Crow is we have a very clear and prompt response to any kind of sexual assault involving a student. And I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, that's where those incidents occurs. We don't have a lot of sexual assaults on employees on the campus for reasons that are obvious. It's residential students who are here and they go to parties off campus, or they're in the residence hall rooms. That's where most of these things occur. So when we get information, it typically comes from the Housing and Residence Life staff, because they are first responders. They are in the residence halls. That's who residents talk to. And the resident may not be the victim. They may be the victim's friend, or they may have heard it from someone who is the victim's friend. So residence hall staff file a written incident report in their data system, which generates an email to student conduct. It pings. It's really neat, and I think they call it Star Res or something. In fact, Mike Loftus may know the technical term for it, but anyway, I get notified immediately, and then we follow up with email to the victim, and we go from there. So it's a process that takes maybe a couple of hours. It's very quick.
The other way we tend to get reports are through the police department. And again, police reports of that nature are sent to us as soon as they're completed. We're notified, and when the report itself is completed, we get copies of those. That gives us all the information we need to reach out to the victim. Sometimes the victim themselves calls us and lets us know something's happened. In that case, it might have been an assault that happened last semester. That's not unusual. We might get a student who comes forward and says, you know, this happened last October, and I've just now gotten to a place where I can come forward and report it. Our policy does not have a deadline. You can report any incident regardless of when it happened. We encourage people to come forward as soon as they feel they're able to do so, because it's easier to investigate something if memories are fresh and you know, people are still around and we can reach out to them faster. So let's say we get a report, the first, and the victim has not contacted us. We reach out to the victim. We have a mechanism where we can tell if they have opened that email, and if they have, we give them several days to respond. If they haven't, we give them a little less time to open it. We reach out to them again. If they don't respond, then we do personal telephone contact. After that, I usually send them a email directly from my account. The first email they get is a generated email. We've had maybe one or two people who just have never come forward, and we don't chase them down. I mean, rape is a very personal thing, and some people will not come forward. I've had parents call me and say, my daughter was sexually assaulted. She won't come forward. Can you talk to her? Is there anything we can do? And of course I've talked to her. I'll say, yes, I'm happy to put her on the phone. We put her on the phone and she says, I just can't do it. That's her choice. It's a very hard thing, but we do our best to support the victim, and it is her choice how she wants to move forward. Now, I can tell you our policy allows me as a Title IX coordinator to pursue a complaint without the complainant. So if we had an egregious situation that I felt needed to be investigated and action taken, I could pursue a complaint without the complainant's cooperation or participation. We have not gotten to that point yet, but it is an option. So let's say we have the victim is cooperating, wants to pursue a complaint. We take her statement, her interview, we offer her supportive services first, which involve access to all her counseling. We offer to set her up with, get her in contact with medical care, including transportation, anything she needs, or he, could be a he. It could be adjustments to her curriculum, coursework, class schedule, housing, if she needs help with financial aid, whatever. We issue no contact orders, which are kind of like restraining orders on both parties, where they have to stay away from each other, don't talk to each other, no social contact, no post on social media. And all of these things happen under the radar screen of the campus community. The people who know this are the victim and the respondent who's being told, we have a complaint that we're going to be investigating and you need to stay away from this person. Because obviously these are all student records and we don't disclose any of this information to anyone except those who need to know. If we reach out to faculty, it is only with the victim or the respondent's permission that we do so, and we get that in writing. We do offer supportive services to respondents as well. We're required by law to offer supportive services to both, to minimize the impact of the investigation on both, and to do so, to put these supportive measures in place so that that neither one of them are adversely impacted. So I can't say to a victim, I'm going to remove the respondent from campus and all of her classes because you're the victim and you don't want to even have a chance of running into her on campus. I can't do that. The law will not permit us to do that. We can do other things, but not that. So we have some limitations, but most of what we can do has been sufficient so far to address whatever needs a victim has. So then we interview the respondent. We get the names of any witnesses they want us to talk to. If they name a witness, we talk to them. We don't say, nah, I don't think that person will have anything helpful. We talk to them. At the end of the day, in a student situation, Melanie Evans, who's the Sexual Assault Services Coordinator in Student Conduct, Michael Crow and myself, we independently evaluate all the information. We determine independently in our own mind whether we think a violation of the Student Code of Conduct has occurred, whether the conduct violates the definitions in our Title IX policy. Then we come together and we share our various opinions. We've not disagreed, I don't think, at this point. And we determine the violation and we levy the sanction. Now, there is a process that students are allowed to participate in called an informal resolution. In cases where it's maybe harassment, not rape, the student may say, look, if he'll just leave, if he'll just promise not to share my nude pictures with his fraternity brothers anymore, if he'll delete them and he'll write me a letter of apology and he'll get counseling, I'll consider this resolved. And if that's what will make her happy, I go back to him. I say, look, will you do this? He's like, yes. I draw up what's called an informal resolution agreement. They both sign it. He does everything she has asked him to do. We document it, and that's kept on file. And that's purely hypothetical. We've not had that happen yet. But we have had informal resolutions, and in cases where the conduct is one that I think is appropriate for an informal resolution, we will allow that outcome to happen. I think students and student victims are in a position in some cases where if that's the outcome they're seeking and they think it's appropriate, then we'll honor that request. So I'm moving quickly, but that's kind of it in a nutshell. Suffice it to say, we are very busy, and I'm kind of a little worried what's going to happen when we get back to normal. So, any questions?
If I may. So thank you for taking time to talk to us. I thought I knew a little bit about the process that you guys had to go through.
Okay.
But I learned more today, so thank you. And I'm happy to hear you have tools that make your important work more efficient.
Thank you. And we really, it's very hands-on. I mean, I think people would be very surprised if they knew how much contact and interaction we have with the victim, the respondents, or the accused. We don't like to call them accused. That's because we're not a judicial process. We are an internal disciplinary process. And the witnesses, everyone involved. We work with counseling, the police. I mean, it's a very it's a whole triage of folks involved. So I was really disturbed when we knew about the Sigma Nu rape the morning after it happened, and I remember getting up a few days later and I heard it on the radio and I thought, oh, well, they must have released the arrest warrant. That was my only reaction. And then I get to campus and everyone's all up in arms, and I had completely missed the point that it was news to everyone else because I had known about it and I knew all the steps we had taken to under our processes. No one else knew that. They thought, oh, what has Western done? Why have they not done something? And
I'm thrilled you actually put it that way,
Yeah.
because so there was an email that came in. I think you know this. There was an email that came in the staff senate, but also just based on some interactions I had on campus last week, I kind of reiterated what that email said. But I after Mike and I talked, when he said you were going to come on, I talked to the people that had expressed their concerns, and I think more of their concern there. Luckily, there were people who understood that this is not an institution that would let people not be supported. So there was no doubt in those people's mind. It was not even a thought in their mind that there weren't efforts to support the students. What the concern was, and I don't think I did a good job of explaining this in my reply to the email. The concern was there's a conversation in our community, and it doesn't feel like WKU is a part of it right now.
I'm sorry,
That
it doesn't
feel like WKU is a part of the larger conversation, not in reaction to individual events. And I'm trying to represent the individual that expressed this to me yesterday appropriately. But the concern was that, and I'm not an expert on this at all.
That's okay. I don't think any of us are.
But kind of their point was that issues like this get solved by people learning, or maybe not even solved, but we get better as a community by having conversations about this. And I think for people, people I know, this is an issue that has a stigma to it, and people don't come forward.
Yeah. You know, we've been, and I'll blame the federal government, since everybody blames them for everything anyway, so I'll just jump on the bandwagon. But they've promised these new regulations for what, Josh, 5 years, 3 years at least. And then they dumped them on us literally at the with no notice in May of 2020, and gave us until August to put them into place. So on a college campus, you know, we take years to put things in place. So we had to put this policy into place. The campus constituent groups were great. I mean, they worked very hard with us to look at it and get on board and give us good feedback, and we got it in place. And then we get our offices set up, and you know, Josh and in all honesty, most of what this involves deals with students. That's just the truth. So I have had to immerse myself with what Michael and Melanie are doing, and they have had to learn to work with me in a very short turnaround time. And I think we've been very successful at that. Seamlessly, because none of what goes on, none of these activities stop. So it's kind of like trying to jump on a freight train and learn how to drive it while it's going. And I could say without any hesitation that we did not miss a beat. No student has gone without services in this regard. So, but the one thing that we have not yet had an opportunity to do is really get out the message to the campus. That was our next step, and this just beat us to it. But we're doing that now. There will be messages going out to the campus. I'm training. I have probably 6 trainings scheduled in the next 2 weeks with various student groups, SGA, Greek Week Committee, Interfraternity Council, Panhellenic Council, a couple of other student groups. I'm already in discussions with student activities that I am going to have face-to-face trainings with every fraternity who's associated with this campus in the fall. It is not an option. I'm not asking their permission. I'm going to have face-to-face training with them. If they want to bring in an outside trainer, that's fine, but they're also going to have to talk to me.
Good. Thank you. I have no doubt that they'll be better for it. I know the training that I've been able to be a part of, I've learned things. And, maybe 20 years ago, I wasn't a person that thought I would learn stuff, but you certainly do.
And I will meet with the sororities as well. There are things that I had someone mention to me that they feel like all we do is tell women they need to be careful. Well, I think being careful is a very important thing for everyone to learn, all young people, not just women, but men too. I think very few people realize that John Wayne Gacy was a serial killer, but he killed in order to cover up his true crime, which was the rape of young men. He lured them to his home, raped and sodomized them, and then killed them and buried them underneath his house. That was his crime, rape, and all of his victims were young men, 15 to 20. So rape is not simply a female crime. It covers both genders. Obviously more women than men, but we can all learn and be better if we learn how to be safe and keep each other safe. So yes, that's always going to be part of my message.
Awesome. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any other questions for Deborah?
I'm going to clarify a point. Like, just when I represented the thoughts that WKU wasn't a part of the conversation, I didn't mean any individual department.
Oh, I understand.
I just want to, I appreciate that you didn't. I just want to make sure that nobody hears it that way.
Yeah, actually, I have not had any pushback from anybody. I think. I did. If you all know me, I kind of tend to speak my mind. I had a couple of people who were wanting to hit on the president and the administration for not coming out and making a statement, and I finally just said, "Look, what's a statement going to do? You need to look at the actions that the university has taken, and we have a process in place, and the office is in place to provide the services that are needed by victims and the training to help address this. That's what counts."
Yeah.
Statement after the fact, but what's that going to do?
I had a realization in the conversation yesterday, because that's exactly what I think the people were concerned about that I've spoke to. And in talking through it, I said the university already has a stance on this issue, and it's that the university stands with victims, and I don't think anything is taken away from that.
People also expect an immediate condemnation of the accused individuals, and to that I will tell them, we do not live in North Korea. This is the United States of America. It is a republic. We have a constitution. Our processes on campus are not a criminal investigation, and we do not levy criminal judgments. This is an internal disciplinary process. Our policy says that any individual accused of violating the policy is presumed to have not violated that policy until we determine otherwise, period. And thank goodness we are not living in North Korea, because it's cold there and they don't have electricity, among other things. They don't have Mike Loftus getting us together for Zoom meetings.
Deborah, thank you for your time today and explaining the processes of Title IX on campus, and really appreciate that, and informing people on what we do on campus.
All righty. If y'all hear anything, just report it. That's all you got to do.
Right. That's important.
People are doing really good at that, really. Joshua and Michael and Melanie, we've just been amazed. It's been so refreshing. I think people have really come around. Okay, thanks. Thanks for staff council's work.
Thank you.
I'll log off.
All right, now is time for our Staff Star Award. And so we're going to recognize 3 different individuals today. So I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer to get that started.
I realize we're coming off a heavy subject here, but like the world news, we are ending our staff meeting with very positive beacon of hope. And that is with our first 3 staff members that on our newly renamed Staff Star Award, which we named in memory of Christopher Ware last month. So I'm just thrilled at the response we've had, and we're going to start it off. And we have 3 special guests here today, and we appreciate your staying for our longer than usual meeting. And Jordan is going to start us off with our first recognition. And Anthony, if you want to put that slide up.
Thank you, Jennifer. So our first person we'd like to recognize is Joshua Hayes. Joshua works in the Office of Equal Employment Opportunity as the director and as the Title IX deputy, Title IX investigator, and University ADA coordinator. Joshua goes above and beyond for the university. He provides valuable advice and direction to all members of WKU. His attention to detail and limitless compassion for others make him an asset to WKU, a phenomenal person to know. If anyone is deserving of this title and recognition, it's Joshua. Joshua, we have a certificate and some little goodies for you. Those will be delivered soon. You'll also be recognized on the Staff Senate digital platforms, webpage, and social media. Joshua, WKU is better because of your outstanding service, and we thank you.
Yay!
Congratulations, Joshua.
Thank you all tremendously. I have cold chills and my eyes are watering, and I'm sincerely appreciative of the nomination. And I'm very much in love with WKU, as a number of you all may imagine. And thanks again for my team, who I have the chance to work with, Deborah Wilkins, Cindy Smith, and Chantel Wilson, for thinking enough of me to nominate. And a tremendous thanks to the Staff Senate as well. I'm truly, truly honored.
We'll bring some stuff over to you at some point in the next few days, Joshua. And I'm going to turn it over to Julia.
The next Star Award is given to Lois Tidwell. She works in Student Financial Assistant Office as the Assistant Director. She has served in leadership positions for many years and has truly helped to shape the role of SFA holds within the WKU community. She works endlessly trying to ensure that students aren't facing unnecessary barriers due to financial obstacles. She leads our department in the compliance to ensure that WKU displays a high level of competency among the understanding of federal regulations, which attributes to our university's ability to feel a calming sense of security that things can be done correctly. There has been times that Lois has balanced a workload of multiple positions, and she has always stepped up to the plate and got the job done. She deserves much credit for her hard work, as she and I hope that she can be publicly recognized for this award. And Lois, you'll also receive some of the same information that Josh gets as well. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
And our third star is Donna Casnell, who works in the Division of Extended Learning and Outreach as an academic outreach specialist. And I have comments from a couple of different people. I know Tanya wanted to be here today, and she's out on vacation this week, but she wanted to present this, but I'm second fiddle, I guess. Donna always goes above and beyond to help students, staff, faculty with an infectious positive attitude. She is a wealth of knowledge that demolishes silos with her collaborative work style and extensive campus contacts. Donna always has a smile and a genuine compliment for every person she meets. Donna has been with the DLO for close to 8 years. She works in the office with WKU Online Student Services, where she works with the administration of on-demand courses and high-touch coaching for online students. During her time with DLO, she has made many connections with students and has been a valuable asset when it comes to helping students succeed at WKU. Donna is always willing to support a student, even if it involves reaching out to other departments. Donna genuinely cares for the students and her peers at WKU. Donna constantly sees the best in every situation and is the true definition of a WKU star. Donna, we appreciate you and thank you for your years of outstanding service to WKU. And we appreciate all three of you. I'm so thrilled that you were all able to make it here today, and be looking on social media for your pictures and also on the Staff Senate webpage.
Thank you very much. And I feel like I am just one part of the cog in the wheel of all of the, we have a great culture of student service in this department. And I think a lot of it comes from the leadership from Tanya Vincent and some of the other of our other supervisors like Laura Rickey and even Beth Lavis. So I think that I'm just doing what everybody else does, but I'm very grateful for the recognition. Thank you very much.
We need a applaud verbal button.
Oh, that was great. Thank you for everyone that's been a part of the Staff Star Award. And I think it's just, it's nice to be able to give staff members recognition that they deserve and in a public way. All right. Well, that's everything on the agenda. Does anybody have any other business that we need to discuss before we adjourn? Thank you, everybody, for your time. I hope you enjoy the rest of this week. And meeting is now officially adjourned. Thank you.